Coming up on this episode.
Why is it that some people really do take a level of accountability and ownership over outcomes versus some people who sometimes make excuses or blame external factors? So someone who's got a real strong level of internal locus of control can look at a situation and think, I need to hold my hands up. That didn't go to plan because I wasn't 100% on ball that day. Of course, as a leader, your influence matters so much more than you will ever believe. As a leader, to say, I messed up there, that was on me, and I let you down. In that situation, you're looking at me thinking, I really appreciate that. And actually, that shows me that it's okay to fail. It's okay to make a mistake. We're all human. Where's your locus of control right now? Is it internal? Is it external? And how's that showing up within your team?
Welcome to the People Performance Podcast. The People Performance Podcast is made up of 3 series. First up, we have the Leader Lounge episodes with founder of T2, Martin Johnson. Then we have the guest interview episodes. And finally, we have our performance episodes delivered by our very own T2 consultants. For now, sit back, tune in and enjoy the People Performance Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the People Performance Podcast with me, Bernice Casserly.
And me, Rich McCarthy.
Hi, Rich.
Hi, B, back again.
We are indeed. And today we're going to explore something called your locus of control. And ultimately, in this podcast, we're going to have the opportunity to really explore and dig into why is it that some people really do take a level of accountability and ownership over outcomes versus some people who sometimes make excuses or blame external factors, or sometimes why is it that some people actually don't take accountability for success and they almost just blame it on, oh, it is what it is, or it was just luck. So this is what we refer to as locus of control.
B, I'm so interested in this topic, but I need to know a little bit more about what does it actually mean? What does the locus of control mean?
So, locus of control, think of this as the belief system that ultimately shapes how an individual interprets not only success, but also failure based on kind of how have I influenced that situation, success or failure as well.
Okay. So is there 2 ways of looking at it then, this locus of control? Is there a difference?
Definitely. So when it comes to locus of control, think of it, there's 2 different types. So you've got internal locus of control, and then there's external locus of control. So I suppose question to you now is, what do you think potentially could be the difference between those 2?
When I think about internal and external as definitions, I think internal, I'm always looking inward at myself, where external is the factors that might be outside of what I can control.
Yes.
That would be.
Yeah, definitely. So with your internal locus of control, this is that you are able to attribute your success or even failures based on your own ability and also the efforts and your contributions to a situation. So with the internal locus of control, that's being able to recognise that, yeah, I did a really good job there and I was able to do X, Y, and Z, and that equaled a successful outcome.
Right.
With your internal locus of control, that also applies to failure as well. So someone who's got a real strong level of internal locus of control can look at a situation and think, I need to hold my hands up. That didn't go to plan because I wasn't 100% on ball that day, or I let the ball down, or I'm not using the right saying there, but that's me recognising that, you know what, I had a part to play there and I let the team down. That's a high level of kind of internal locus of control, even for failure. So an external...
Okay.
So based on that, an external is then where I view success and failures to, it all comes down to things that were outside of my control. So sometimes that's me, even in successful situations, saying, oh, God, yeah, we were so lucky with that situation. which sometimes, and we'll explore it, is that a good thing at times? Well, no, not when it comes to success and if you worked really hard for it. When it comes to failure, though, this is where often at times as human beings, we can be very easy to take an internal locus of control for success because it's good, makes us feel good. We get a dopamine hit, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to failure, certain individuals, if we don't have a lack of self-awareness in a situation, we're truly not taking ownership, it might be that I can go external when failure happens.
Okay, so there's the two definitions there.
Mm-hmm.
In my head now, I'm just thinking, how do I recognise in myself what's my locus of control?
Yes.
Without having to go on a T2 website and take the test. Is there a way of recognising it in myself or even in others?
Definitely. So from a leadership perspective, very nice little plug there, Rich. So on the website, we do have a blog post on this topic where there is a link to a real short little test that you can take. But if you are a leader and you're working with a team, there's definitely, of course, things that we can recognise and see in the behaviours of other people in the team. So I think let's go for external first.
Okay.
So reminder, an external locus of control is where we attribute kind of efforts based on, well, it's not based on our efforts. It's all down to things that are outside of our control. So what comes to mind? What do you think that might look like in other people?
I think it would be, if I've ever spoke to somebody about being successful, they've said they've been quite lucky in certain moments and situations that they've been in, or they've said to me, oh, I only came across that by chance. So I would think, okay, they're attributing that then to something that was out of their control.
Yes. And for a team member, if they have that external locus of control for success, is that positive?
I would say no. I would say no, because then what happens next time? Are they controlling their effort, or are they just going, do you know what? I was lucky once, probably going to be lucky again. Do I need to put the effort in then? And the onus starts to become on things that are outside of their control.
Yes.
And I would say for me that wouldn't be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. You're absolutely right there. Because also as well, if that person, they might have actually worked really hard on that project and it was successful, or we were able to just achieve the outcome that we wanted to achieve. If I have that external locus of control, I'm not taking accountability for my hard efforts there. So it might be that person in the team who maybe is a little bit quiet. They're not actually talking about how they contributed to that project, or they're just saying, oh gosh, yeah, so that was nothing to do with me. That was all Rich. Oh, that was completely Rich. You had full influence over that. That was completely out of my hands. Or in other situations, it's that moment where we're thinking, we were so lucky. Or sometimes, let's say we work in sales and we've won a contract. An external locus of control would be, oh, well, they were going to choose us anyway. Like, we didn't really have to do much hard work there. Okay, but really? Like, I'm sure we've had to do some work for it.
Yeah, and I think when you were talking there, I'm thinking about my own experiences where I've had a leader, and I maybe have attributed things externally to the success. It was all the team; I had nothing to do with it. And the good leader that was stood in front of me was saying, "No, I want to know what you've done to contribute to the success of this." So then that's forcing me then to take a more internal locus of control then and recognise what I've done and my effort that I've put in there.
Definitely. And that's what a really great leader does, is they're able to recognise, you know what, Rich, you've done a really good job and you need to take accountability for that. And if you're not able to call yourself out and say, actually, that worked really well because I was able to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
If you can't say that, then as a leader, I need to do that for you.
Yeah.
Because is that due to a lack of confidence? And that's where that's coming from.
Yeah, potentially, and maybe a bit of humility is in that as well.
Yes.
And then sometimes, that conversation with that leader at the time, bouncing it back and forth, they've said, no, you need to set the compliment now and recognise your efforts.
Yes.
And that's kind of then forced me to go from a bit of a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, and
Definitely.
leave those doors open to next time know that my efforts are valued, and I can continue to keep control of my contributions and to keep going forward.
Definitely. It builds the confidence up as
Yeah,
well, doesn't
massively.
it? And that example in particular was if you have an external locus of control and the outcome is successful. If we have failure, so let's say an external locus of control and it's not gone well, or we've not achieved the outcome, we've made a mistake, or we've failed in a situation, what's that going to look like?
I guess you're never really focusing on what you can control for the next time then. So, like, I don't know, for example, a leader going, don't worry, sometimes that just happens, we'll get it next time. Not really focusing on what they can control to move forward then. So it would be probably, does it look like a vague debrief?
Potentially.
Yeah.
It could be vague, but also it could be extreme level of blame. So it could be that in that situation, we're having a debrief around what went wrong in that situation, but it's not really a proper debrief because what's happening is everyone's just making excuses, blaming other departments, blaming Bob, Sue and Henry and never themselves. It's always a case of that went wrong because of that, and that, and it was nothing to do with me.
So if time is of essence when you're moving on to the next project or the next thing that's coming across your desk, is it easier to just fall into the trap of external locus of control and go, that happened by chance, we need to move on now? Does there need to be a bit of time to go, actually, we need to sit in this and focus internally on what we did well, what we didn't do well, what can we do better next time?
Yeah, there needs to be a level of clarity, and it needs to be real as well, because what's actually happened here, and let's almost evaluate it. In the past, at times when we've spoken about just failures in general, that we need to almost do a bit of an autopsy to really establish and understand why did that fail, and it's not to really kind of overly criticise or to blame, but so that we've got the facts, so that we know actually what's going on.
Yeah, and I've been in that position as a team member, especially in the military at times, where we're so used to having that feedback and debrief, where a leader might have has gone to me, we just need to move on now, it was out of our control. And having a real strong sense of external control from that, external locus of control from that leader, with me having an internal locus of control, I felt that's not quite right. To just go, oh, we were really lucky then, let's move on. You sat there going, we need to add some meat to the bone of this.
Definitely.
To crack on, I guess.
Yeah, because there is certainly strength in an external locus of control in situations that are completely out of our control. Because if we're overly internal and there was actually nothing that we could do to control X, Y, and Z, that was completely out of our hands. If we're really internal, then we're almost blaming and self-criticising, and that's not healthy. So in that sense, that's a good level of external.
Yeah.
Because actually the reality is nothing that we can do to control that. In other situations, though, and then coming back into when it comes to team members and how we recognise these behaviours in the team, that might be that team member who is just burying their head in the sand. They sometimes they want to avoid it, don't even want to talk about it. It can be like a low self-esteem or a lack of confidence in their own ability as well. So
there's definitely a sense of you've got to know your people then.
100%, yeah. And it's just recognising when success or failure happens, how are they responding? What language are they using? Am I hearing kind of words that show a level of accountability? Or am I hearing lines of, oh, well, no one told me, I didn't know about that. Or, well, that wasn't on me, that was sales, they should have done that. Or, oh, no, well, that's this person and that's that person. Okay, what's your part to play in that situation is really important, right?
Yeah. So are we talking about why it matters then to leaders now? Like, we've had a real good discussion about the definitions and what it looks like. But if I'm a leader in a team, why does it matter for me to know whether I've got an internal or external locus of control and know where my teams also sit on that line?
So this is where you need a real awareness of not only yourself, but of course for your team members as well, to recognise what you're seeing in their behaviours and where their locus of control is. But of course, as a leader, your influence matters so much more than you will ever believe.
And what influence does that have then? Like, what does it build, or what does it, diminish or destroy within the team?
It can have a massive impact, even down to levels of trust and kind of psychological safety in certain situations. So if I'm a leader of a team and I have a external locus of control, when we have failed or the project didn't land or there was a delay or a mistake that happens, that can have a huge impact on the team, because if as a leader I have an external locus of control, potentially I'm blaming you, or I'm blaming everything, but actually not recognising the influence that I have as a leader myself, and ultimately I'm accountable. Maybe I didn't set you up for failure. Did I give you the right time to be able to complete that? Did I give you the resources that you needed in order to complete that activity?
So if that leader's got that external, like a strong external locus of control, that impact it would be having on me would then have I could go one end of the spectrum, the line, and go real far internal into myself and go, this is all me, I need to figure out next time on my own, really isolated then. Or could I go the other way and then become an external locus of control and going, if my leader's blaming me, well, I'm going to blame my peer or co-worker, I'm going to blame the leader then for not taking accountability.
Yeah.
So then does it sort of...
You could be looking at me in that conversation thinking, hang on a minute, you wanted me to do X, Y and Z with 2 days notice, knowing that I've got this, that and the other going on at the same time. There was no opportunity. I was never going to be able to actually succeed on that task because you didn't give me what I needed in the first place. So if there's a lack of, as a leader, me taking an internal locus of control and saying that actually I've let you down there, I've made a mistake, I didn't give you enough time, or I didn't ask the questions, I didn't understand what else you had on your plate, what can I do differently in order to support you? That's your internal. If I don't have that, then you're just looking at me and thinking you're an idiot.
And I like to think like you would be like that, be with that internal locus, and I think that would then help me have that internal locus of going, well, do you know what, actually I could do better for you, and I could maybe, in my control was to come and speak to you because we only had 2 days to get this done, and we can have that discussion. And so I guess that internal locus as a leader can then support the internal locus of the team,
100%.
Team member as well.
If you're a leader of a team and you have an internal locus of control, a healthy internal locus of control, you're able to take accountability. You can take ownership of your contribution to situations. When it comes to failure and mistakes, that's where the leader, you almost have to take a level of real vulnerability. So if a mistake happens and I have internal locus of control, that is me saying, I let you down there, Rich, and I'm really sorry because what I needed to do in that situation was X, Y, and Z. I didn't. I dropped the ball. I missed that deadline. That's on me.
Then that builds trust in me.
Massive, because in that moment, that level of vulnerability as a leader to say, I messed up there, that was on me, and I let you down. In that situation, you're looking at me thinking, I really appreciate that. And actually, that shows me that it's okay to fail. It's okay to make a mistake. We're all human.
Okay. So we're kind of like really leaning into that internal locus of control as a positive. I'm assuming there has to be some sort of balance there. Like when would a strong locus of control, like when is it always a positive?
Internal.
Internal, yes.
So I think when you look at success, that's quite interesting. So if I have a too strong and overly internal locus of control as a leader, that is you doing something really awesome and amazing, really good, and it went well, and me taking all of the credit for it.
Right, okay. And then that's going to break trust, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at me saying, excuse me, hang on. Like, I actually did X, Y, and Z. I did all of the work on that project. I built the presentation. I had the call with the client. I actually got that deal over the line. And there the leader is saying, oh, yeah, so it was all on me. And I was able to really coach and support Rich, navigate through that. And it's not you, it's all on me. That's where it's way too far. We're overly internal there. That's not good. Because that can also have an impact, a negative impact on trust.
So, B, are there any situations then when external locus of control can be a positive?
Good question. And I would say yes. So let's say you have an overly internal locus of control.
Right.
Something bad's happened, you've made a big boo-boo, you've made a big mistake, and you're so internal with your locus of control, you are in this complete turmoil where you're blaming yourself.
Yeah. And I can't task switch either. Like, I'm so low on it. So for me, I am going home, thinking about that, working on it. I just can't pull myself away from the blame of it. What do you as a leader do then?
So that's where I need to almost focus on an external locus of control. And that would be, if in that situation there was absolutely nothing at all that you could have done to change or influence the outcome of that situation, that's not on you. That is on external factors in which you have no control over. So therefore you need to find a way in which to let go.
Yeah.
And that might be there where I'm almost reinforcing the fact that, Rich, that is not on you. The reason why that didn't work was because of X, Y, and Z.
So helping me understand that it wasn't all like in my control.
Yes.
Will help me move on, move past.
Definitely.
Proceed positively.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
But also, I think in other situations where if I, as a leader, have an external locus of control, that could also then be, so we just had one example where it was positive. A negative version of a leader have an external locus of control would be, you've done something really good that went really well and you've worked really hard on it. If I have an external locus of control, that could be me looking at the situation and not giving you the recognition that you deserve. It's me saying, yeah, Rich, you got lucky there. Yeah, that just kind of worked out in your favour, didn't it? Oh, yeah, you winged that one.
That'll be giving me a bit of a funny gut feeling there. I'll be like, what's going on?
Yeah, and in that moment, you're thinking, no, hang on a minute, I worked really hard on that.
Yeah.
So you could have the internal locus of control, but if I've got external locus of control, I'm not giving you the recognition and the credit that you deserve because I'm just saying that was down to luck and fate.
So what would you expect then from a team member if you're always being like that? If I'm putting in loads of work, got a real internal locus of control, but you're just like attributing this reward and recognition to anything else but me, what would you see in your team then?
Well, I would see that potentially, I was going to say over time, but not even over time, you're going to feel demotivated. You're going to think, right, okay, well, why am I working so hard if I'm getting nothing back in return? I don't feel supported. I don't feel valued. I'm not getting the recognition that I deserve. Is that going to inspire you to stay committed and to focus and to work hard and to give it your all and take ownership? What are you doing it for?
Yeah, you're just down tools, don't you?
Yeah. So it's important to note that this locus of control, whether it's internal or external, it's not linear. It's not a case of you are this or you are.
Right.
Potentially, there could be an element of kind of where you lean towards the most.
Where you naturally sit, maybe, yeah.
It can change in certain situations.
Okay, then.
You can certainly stay with one locus of control for potentially a prolonged period of time. Something needs to happen in order for it to switch.
Okay. So, situation then, if I am a person who naturally sits in or leans into that external locus of control more often than not, okay, and I want to develop my stronger level of locus of control, internal locus of control? Can I do that? Can I develop it?
Of course you can. This is where it's really important to, I would say, acknowledge the reality. That's always the first step. What's the reality of the situation right now? Because if I'm shifting into external locus of control and it very much is that I credit luck or everything on external things, or I'm blaming outside factors on circumstances, then is that actually true? And actually what's in my power of control?
Okay.
It's a situation where we're launching a new product, and as a leader, I'm saying, this is going to be an absolute nightmare because sales they've kind of promised way too much to the external customers. Warehouse, they're having an absolute nightmare. Then they're making loads of mistakes and they're not going to get the orders over line. And then we're dealing with like the actual customer and keeping the client happy. And it's going to be an absolute car crash. That's not helping. Let's actually take a moment to just pause. We talk a lot at T2 around ABC. So acknowledge how you feel, breathe, see, control. I would probably put a twist on the A. So acknowledge, yes, how we feel, but acknowledge the reality of the situation we're in.
Right.
What's in our power of control? Those questions are really important. Then as a leader, how do I inspire that in the team? So the language that I use as a leader is really important. If I'm using language like, unfortunately, sales have overpromised, that's then causing a massive impact in this department, and it's going to be really tough for us because we've got to get all of these orders over the line knowing that the product's delayed and we've committed to the customer. We're going to have loads of angry, unhappy customers. I'm setting you up for failure. I don't make you feel inspired and motivated.
No,
Whereas if I switch that language to, right now, the reality of the situation is we've promised X to this many customers, it's going to be hard to deliver that. What we need to do is, what can we do to manage expectations with our customers? We can do that by reaching out to them. Maybe we'll contact like their kind of top clients. Maybe we'll email them. What's in our power of control? It's real, and people are able to focus on that. You're more likely to be able to find a solution, you can own it and start to really make things happen.
Okay. So I guess that how you do that as a leader then encourages that mindset in your team as well, and doesn't it? By
100%.
seeing that role modelling all the time.
Yeah. So if we start to think about what we've explored today then, so we've explored this concept of locus of control. So internal, very much as we attribute success and failure to kind of, I suppose, what we've done and our ability and how we've contributed to something. Sometimes that could be positive, but if we're too internal, that's not always a negative thing. But it's definitely where we want our team members to be, because it means that they're owning it, they're finding solutions, they're making stuff happen, they feel confident when faced with challenges, but recognising as a leader, what are we doing to influence that? Then external locus of control. If you were to summarise that one, Rich?
I would summarise that in a sense of, okay, if I was someone with an external locus of control, I'm attributing success, failure, responsibility to anyone but myself.
Yes.
Okay. Things like luck and fate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not always blaming other things and that kind of behaviour that we potentially might think of. Sometimes, even during success, it's saying, oh yeah, well, I just got real lucky there.
Yeah.
No, actually, because that's not driving and motivating, inspiring people, and sometimes people need that reward and recognition as well. And ultimately, I suppose one question that we would like all of our listeners to really consider is, if you were to recognise and think of past situations in your leadership, where's your locus of control been? Where's your locus of control right now? Is it internal? Is it external? And how is that showing up within your team? What impact is that having in your team is really important. I suppose to finalise this podcast, ultimately, it's recognising as leaders, your influence matters. How you're showing up, whether or not you're taking accountability, whether you're owning the situation and being real and really looking at the facts and the reality of the situation is so important and will always have a lasting impact on the rest of the team. So, Locus of Control, quite an interesting one. If you do want to take the test, where can they complete the test?
On the T2 Hub website.
Yes, so go to the T2 website. You can find the blog where we talk about this. You can also take the test yourself. And we will be back soon for another People Performance podcast.
The People Performance Podcast, brought to you by T2.